everybody. It's Dr. Tanya McCoy, licensed psychologist, licensed professional counselor, and transitions coach. And I wanted to talk to you tonight about being resolved and these New Year resolutions. Yes, so resolutions are resolved, right? Now I know we're still early in the new year, and I wanted to check in to see how are you doing. First of all, did you guys even make any New Year resolutions or have you identified any goals? Some of you may have, but then there may be some of you have not. So I wanted to check in to see how are you doing with this New Year plan. Tell me how you're doing. So you can make a comment below to tell me how are things going with you. Now, when we think about the new year, there are many ways that people are looking at basically changing their life, right? Some of you may have focused on health, and for you, that means losing weight, increasing your exercise, maybe trying more healthier eating habits, and also maybe focusing on your mental health. And then some of you may be focusing on your financial status, right? As far as eliminating debt, looking at how more ways of how you can save. And many of you may be planning to purchase your new home. And what about those of you that are looking for career changes in this year? You know, some of you may be enrolling in college or taking a new career, learning a new skill. Some of you may be starting a business or you're in that new job search. Or you may be looking at a different position on your job. And then, of course, there are those personal goals, right? More time with the family, being able to be home more with the family, being a better spouse, a better parent, connecting more with relatives, and of course, being able to initiate self care on a more continuous routine basis. And then some of you are connected to the community. You want to do more. You want to look at different ways you can support various charities, how you can donate your time and your money, and still looking at the service that you can offer. And in all of these, whatever your goals are, whatever you're focusing on for this new calendar year, the key factor is going to be time management, right? That's what many of you will say, that the key factor is time management, meaning that you're trying to eliminate any barriers, eliminate anything that's going to waste time, trying to do away with procrastination, and looking at more ways to be productive, maybe implementing better boundaries, and then maybe just overall improving your project management skills. Yeah. But all of these things are good, and that's what we typically think that I have a plan. I have to get better at planning it. But I want to talk to you today because I think there's something else that we need to look at as well. And sometimes it's understood, it may not be stated very clearly, but it is something that's needed as well. And one of the things I would say, or the thing that I want to talk to you about today is, are you ready to commit? I want to talk about commitment to your goals on today. And this is part of the first part, actually, of the series, Resolution or Resolve. I'm going to be talking to you guys about being resolved for these New Year resolutions or these goals that you've set. You know, we know, and statistically, we have found that many people uh, they have difficulty completing their goals. That most of them, actually, most of the goals that people set, um, only 8% of them are successful. And that's from 60% of you guys making resolutions. Everyone doesn't make resolutions. Only 60% of people make resolutions. And out of that 60%, only 8% are successful. Now, these are some disturbing statistics, I must say. And my goal is that as we continue to talk with each other and as I continue to share with you, that it may be something that raises that statistical level somewhat, right? We want to raise that statistic. We want to be able to increase the number of people who are successful in making their goals. And one of those factors is being committed. Another statistic, we know that many people, they will wane or become laxed in their efforts by the third month. So we're saying by the third month of the calendar year, before 90 days, people can give up. And so you may wonder, are they really committed? Am I really committed? I think one of the things about being committed is that you're making a decision to be committed to your goals. And even deeper than that, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're being very intentional that what you're desiring to do, what you're desiring to have, what you're desiring to experience in this calendar year, that you're not going to let anything or anyone stop you. Now, let's talk about that for a moment. Because one of the things I found that as I'm looking at my goals for this year, you know what I found out? That a lot of the effort is about me. Yes, I know. That can be a eye awakening experience, right? Or revelation. There's an eye opening revelation that it really is about me. There's a lot of things that I'm desiring to do in this calendar year. And I realized the part of it that it takes me in order to make it happen. And it's not my situation, it's not my circumstances, and it's not other people. So let me pause there for a moment. Now, many of you have probably have had goals before. And let me ask you, some of you may have had goals before, and you were successful in some, and some you were not. And how many of you thought that it was because somebody didn't do something or somebody did something that hindered you? I mean, that was my viewpoint for a long time. And then I realized that no matter what happened, I was the one, or I am the one that's responsible for making my goals manifest. And that's the same for you. You are the one responsible for making your goals manifest. Now, we know some things happen. And I'm not trying to say that you have to control everything in your life. Sometimes situations and things happen that are outside of our control. But what I mean by it's up to us is that we can choose to either give up, like many people do after 30 days, or actually after 90 days of making a resolution, we can choose to give up, or we can choose to keep going. And then as we decide to keep going, whenever we have a hiccup or a setback, we look at it as an opportunity. Now, one of the things I've learned, you guys, that I want to share with you is that as I am looking at the goals that I have for this year and how intentional that I need to be, I have noticed that there's a lot of shifting that I have to do. Ooh. And you may be saying, what type of shifting? Like you're thinking that everyone else and other things have to work and have to align for things to be just right for you. No, there's some shifting I have to do. And you know what? I'm going to be transparent in this process, and I'm going to allow you to come in and to witness the shifting that's happening with me. I'm going to let you be part of the process with me. For an example, one of the things that I'm looking at is different ways of how to communicate information to you guys in an effective manner. And also with that, I'm looking at, you know, ways in which I can be an effective for you to get to know me and to understand what is that I bring, what is it that I offer, and what type of services and help that I offer to you. And in doing so, I had to make a shift. Now, some of you that have been following me for some time, you notice I introduce myself differently today. Typically, I say, you know, licensed psychologist, licensed professional counselor, grief and loss coach. But as I sat and I looked at it, I am more than a grief and loss coach. I actually work with people through various types of transitions. And so that was a shift for me. As I'm looking at what I do, I had to realize that grief and loss is just one type of transition, but I really help people in all types of transitions, whether it's divorce, you know, financial struggles, health struggles, job layoff, job search. I help people go through those transitions successfully. And so that was something that, you know, you don't think about, right? Or you didn't put in the equation that a lot of the shifting that's happening is the shift in me. And so there's going to be some other things that I share with you guys. So I'm going to encourage you and give you permission. If there's something that you like, let me know. And if there's something that you don't like, you can let me know as well. Um, I would say if there's topics you would like for me to discuss, make sure you comment and let me know about those different conversations you would like for me to have. Also, if there's something that you really enjoy about something that I've stated or shared, let me know as well. And there'll be times when I'll be asking more uh, about your feedback on various things as I go through this process myself. Yes, I'm actually going to go through this process of where I'm being shifted, and I'm going to let you in on that process. So when I go back and look at this series, and that's one of the reasons I entitled it as such, Resolution or Resolve. We can make all these resolve a little bit, and I kind of wanted to get, some understanding of that. Resolve actually comes from, being the word resolute, being determined, unwavering, um, being purposeful. And I've gotten these definitions from the Merriam-Webster dictionary online. It also means to be constant, to be continual, and purposeful. I already stated that. But being faithful to yourself. That no matter what happens, no matter what people do, you're about being purposeful with yourself. That you're going to accomplish those goals, those dreams that you desire, and being loyal to yourself. That means you don't give up on yourself. Now, if throughout this journey there may be times where things may get a little tough and difficult, and I've had some things that happen with me shifting. I've had to shift when it comes to my team, and those things happen. And even though I'm somewhat of a creature of habit, meaning that I kind of like, well, I shouldn't say creature of habit. I would say that I'm kind of loyal. I like working with the people. After we start to know each other, we develop a routine. I like to continue working with that because we now know how to communicate with each other. But doing some very important milestones in my life and in my business, I've had to make some shifts, even related to my team. And you know what? That's okay. Because in every process of growth, there is a learning that takes place. And sometimes in that learning, it can be very uncomfortable, right? We don't like change. We as human beings do not like change. We don't like change. We get comfortable in our routine because we know what to expect. But I think sometimes there's a change that occurs so that you can grow, so that you can learn more, so that you can experience more. There may be something that you needed to utilize in order to help other people. And so don't be afraid of change, everybody. Don't be afraid of change. When the change is occurring, when something is happening and it's going to bring about a change, I will encourage you to go ahead and do the shift. Go ahead and shift. Because in it, it's going to help you to be even better. It's going to help you be even better to your customers. It's going to help you be even better to your family and to your friends. Don't be afraid of the shift. Don't be afraid of the change. And so even when you think about resolutions and being resolute, there's one thing that happens. You have to be very determined. You have to be firm in your determination. And that is really what resolute is. That I'm firm in my determination. I am determined to get things done. I am determined to get the things done that I need to get done in order for me to have the success of my goals being achieved. Oh my goodness, I want to say that again. I have to be determined to get things done so that I can experience the success of my goals being achieved. That's powerful right there. And I wonder the reason why people give up within 90 days is because something has happened. Something has deterred them or delayed them. And so they've given up. But when you're resolved, when you are resolute, you're not going to let anything or anyone stand in your way. And sometimes that means shifting or altering our course or altering our methods in order at the end of the day, right? We can cross that finish line. And I think that's what's important. That's what we have to stay focused. We hear terms like, being set, uh, being focused, being single minded, um, in order to accomplish these goals. And that's really what we have to be. That's really what we have to be. And just like I stated earlier, you can be so in tune, so focused, so determined in meeting your goals that you don't have any difficulty in making a shift. Making a shift. I think if you would think back for a moment, the times when you've experienced maximum growth is the time when you've had to shift. I'm not saying that shifting was easy, but if you think about a time when you've had to shift and you've had to adjust, for some of you that are listening, it may have been a divorce, and that caused you to shift the way you thought about yourself, caused you to shift how you were in relationship to other people. Some of you may have experienced some financial difficulties, especially during this time when people have lost jobs or have been sick. And so your shift may have been starting your own business. Your shift may have been going into business with someone else. Your shift may have been going into a different career field altogether. But when you look back at it, you probably would say, it was good. I didn't know I had those skills until I was forced to do something about the situation that I was in. In other words, you were determined not to let the situation hold you back from accomplishing your goals and achieving your dreams. And some of you may be shifting just because you may have had to relocate. Or you may be now in a caregiver role. You may be an adult child, but who's a caregiver of the parent. And so life does happen and it causes us to shift. But when you think back over your life and the different shifts that have occurred, or the different times where you've had to make significant shifts in your life, I wonder, is that the time that you have experienced maximum growth? You can let me know, make a comment below. Now, if I'm saying something that's really helping you and you think this is going to help someone else, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel, and then also encourage someone else. Share this video with some friends and family so they can subscribe as well. So, growth is part of us being able to accomplish our goals, right? We are learning more about ourselves and what we can do each and every time there's obstacles placed in our way. Oh my goodness. How many times did I want to walk away or run away from an obstacle or a challenge, right? And sometimes it just feels so overwhelming. I need to do this before I can do that, but I was already working on this. Part of what I'm doing, you guys, is really looking at, the information that I'm sharing with you, and looking at how I'm sharing it with you so that you can understand it very well. Not saying that you don't, but I just want to make sure that I'm effective in communicating those things with you. And there are things that I have to do before I'm even able to analyze all the things that I'm saying, right? Or the things that I want to say. So there's additional steps in that process because I'm making a shift. And so I'm having to shift the way I think about things. I'm having to shift the way I communicate. Oh my goodness. But throughout this process, I'm learning more about myself. I'm learning more about the things that I'm desiring to do and what it means to me. Wow. And I can say that with all the experiences that I've had in life. In those times of shifting is when I learn more about the things that are important to me. And, and basically, it's your values. Sometimes we don't realize or recognize the things that we do value until there's something that comes on that threatens it. But if you're resolved and you're resolute in achieving your goals, you don't mind going through the process. I'm not saying the process is going to be easy, but you don't mind going through the process. You know, people, I really don't like that statistic of only 8% of people who make resolutions will actually achieve that. This, this series is about changing that statistic. Changing that statistic. You know, part of what I do as a psychologist, you know, I really help people discover and move from their stuck points, right? And dysfunctional thinking patterns. And a lot of times, as we'll talk about this even more, that people sometimes get stuck in how they look at information. And sometimes you can be your own, like the quote unquote, worst enemy because of the way that you've experienced life. But you know, in this series, we're going to talk about all of that, and we're going to be able to just learn and grow. And hopefully, throughout this series, I'm going to be sharing some nuggets about to help you to stay committed so that after 90 days, you're going to defy that statistic. You're going to be one of the ones who stay in it longer than the 90 days. So, I think as we're talking about being resolute and resolved in our goals and our resolutions, sometimes we have to admit to ourselves that we need help. Sometimes we have to admit to ourselves that we need help. And that's kind of where I come in. So, you know, as a psychologist and a transition coach, you know, I help people, you know, um, I help them accomplish their goals, right? As a transitions coach, we start where you are and we look at where you're trying to go and we put together those strategies so that you can get there. As a therapist, I'm going to look at what's causing you to become stuck. What are the hindrances? What are the barriers? And the ultimate goal is for you to get to where you're wanting to go. So again, I'm Dr. Tanya McCoy. I want you guys to follow me. Like I said, I'm going to continue this series. I'm going to be dropping some gems and some nuggets for you to help you so that you do not fall prey to the statistic of giving up within 90 days. And so those of you that are interested in learning more about me and the services that I provide, there's a link that below that you can click on and find out more. So otherwise, you guys, I'm so excited and I look forward to you coming back. Make sure you share this video with someone. Make sure you subscribe. If there's something that I said that piqued your interest, I want you to continue this journey with me. And so I look forward to us meeting again in the next video. So have a great day.